Yield back.
Thanks, Cameron. With that, we will go to Doc Pete Chambers, and after Doc, we will go to Mara.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. I am just in awe right now of the folks that are in here. I'm just getting chills every time somebody else speaks, and it's just amazing to see where we're at now from the very beginning. So, just folks that don't know me, I'm a soldier. I've always been a soldier since '83 when I finished high school and got out, had a break in service. 9/11 happened, came back in. So I'm a doc working for Special Forces. Some of the best people in the world. I'm a little biased to the Green Berets versus the SEALs. However, I love my SEAL brothers. That was for Cam. So I know what it takes to be tough, and I know what it takes to buckle down. I know what right looks like, and I know exactly what wrong looks like. And what I've seen over the years is what you talked about, Brad. What really turned me on to following your Substack, which was the moral injury. And we had to talk about this on the podcast, and it really got a lot of motion. There was 500,000 people listening to that thing. Let me tell you, the moral injury depicts kind of the injury that's taken place in this country over the last 50 years, really. Not being judgmental, but just being truthful. And I can tell you that the things that I learned along the way as a soldier is that, I thought as a young guy that, I wanted to be a Green Beret. I want to be a Green Beret. What's the truest virtue of a warrior? Pressfield talks about this in his book, Gates of Fire. Truest virtue of a soldier. It's not accolades. It's not medals. It's not tabs. It's not, what job you have. There's a spear, there's a tip of a spear, and the rest of it makes the tip of the spear function. So everybody has just as important role. And we trust those that are charged with our care, right? They're charged with completing a mission, but a commander who is responsible for everything that happens or fails to happen, and that's where we're at now, is responsible for all of that. And so when I see it, I know what it looks like. And us in the beginning of this, just the original whistleblowers, just because, we had information. I was a task force surgeon down on the border, Texas National Guard, Operation Lone Star. I had about 3,000 troops in the command that I took care of. And to me, what it looked like was, am I listening to an unlawful order? What's going on here? I have a 2-star telling me, hey, you got to stop doing informed consents. You're going to have to recuse yourself if you can't convince them to take it. Our numbers look terrible. And I'm not bellyaching and complaining. I'm just telling you the facts. Well, this is something for people out there to understand, is that all orders, something else I learned along the way, are considered lawful at the outset. However, there are times when you have to stand up. We can talk about Cali. We can talk about Abu Ghraib, Cali in Vietnam, Abu Ghraib in the prison in Iraq. Soldiers just saying, well, I was just following orders, doesn't work. We alluded to the Nuremberg trials, just doesn't work. Okay, Article 92, failure to obey a direct order. 3 kinds of offenses: violations or failures to obey lawful general orders or regulations, failures to obey other lawful orders, and dereliction of duty. So when I looked at, and this is just my personal story, when I looked at the frag order that came down from the SecDef, and in the fine print, it says commanders are responsible to administer the appropriately approved vaccine. Well, now it becomes incumbent upon those commanders, of which, Brad, I know you felt, because you courageously did what you thought was right, and did not take part in that operation that way. And I respect that. I fully respect that at 19 and a half years. But I had to say to the general, sir, but that's an unlawful order. Now, how did I know? Well, I did my homework. I looked at, Army Regulation 40-562, Chapter 8, paragraphs 4 through 6. If it's an EUA, must do informed consents. And then when he says to me, it's not about the science, doc, it's about the policy. At this point, I know that I have to take it higher. So I take it higher. As a task force surgeon, I go straight to the TAG, because I was able to do that because of the level I was working at. TAG didn't want to hear it. At that point, I took it to some congressmen. And this is why it's so important for all you folks out there running for office. Listen to the people on the ground. They will tell you the truth. You'll still have to do your homework, but they will tell you the truth because things get redacted along the way as they go high. So it's just a fact, unfortunately, of our military over the last several years, especially. I've seen it. So when I take it finally to Senator Johnson, and it's Teresa Long and Sam Sigloff and Mark Bashaw, and then Teresa and I go to Seals versus Lloyd Austin case, and we testify, and her command calls her the night before and says, "You will not testify on these particular questions." Okay, well, at that point, now you're coercing or you're violating Whistleblower Protection Act, violating all kinds and there's no accountability. And this is we go back to the original Rob Green's talking about accountability. That's what this is about. The accountability of the regulations that were set before us, the Uniform Code of Military Justice that was set before us. Because in the long run, the truest virtue of a soldier, and I'm almost done here, is love. And that's what Pressfield talks about. It's what I found. And sometimes it's tough love. I had to admonish a general the other day, a friend who was a friend, still is, but in a conversation that we had, who's still in a major command right now, and I'm going to keep him nameless at this point. But, sir, you know that this is an unlawful mandate. You know that there, EUA does not equal BLA, basic licensure agreement. We go through all that stuff. But it's tough love. And the truest virtue, we don't fight out of hate. We fight out of love who's next to us and who's behind us. I love each and every one of you, and I'm proud to be in your ranks. So there you go.
Praise God. Definitely big shout out to my Green Beret brother.